All of it started when they'd stopped at a nearby planet for supplies. This gang of aliens just marched right up to Gary the moment Avocado had left him. Their leader pushed the human to the ground and scoffed. Look at this thing, fellas. Human, stupid fat creatures. Waste of life, I say. The other two replied. Their leader then came even closer to Gary, pinning him down. And how about we get rid of him, boys?
Hey, assholes!
The trio turned to see an angry Avocado with his weapon aimed right at them. He's with me, and if you're as smart as your kind says you are, then you'll let him go. Realizing they were facing a Ventraxian, and an angry one to be exact, they ran out of the alley in fear. Avocado rushed over to Gary, helping the human off the ground. You okay, babe? Did I hurt you? Other than being pushed onto the hard ground, yeah, I'm fine. Avocado sighs. I'm sorry, it slipped my mind on how the locals here hate humans. Luckily for you, they're terrified of us Ventraxians. Gary grinned slightly. Alright, we got what we came for, so let's get the hell out of here before any more of those creeps see you. With that, the two headed back to the Galaxy One. The rest of the day went by pretty quick. Through the day, however, Gary couldn't get what those jerks were saying out of his head. Stupid fat creatures. Waste of life, I say. Stupid fat creature. Waste of life. Were they right about him? He thought they were anyway. So he didn't eat that night. It had been 3 days since it happened. Gary still hasn't eaten a thing. He was thankful that Avocado hadn't noticed. But he had noticed. It took until the end of the second day, but he thought he saw Gary trembling. At first he figured it was nothing, but when he was still shaking the next day, that was when he was getting concerned. He decided he was going to find out what was wrong. Although, he soon grew even more worried when a very panicked mooncake floated toward him. Whoa, what's wrong, bud? A worried whimper and a gesture down the hall made him conclude that whatever was wrong had gotten worse. He didn't even have to reach Gary's room to find him, because the human was collapsed onto the floor and against the wall. Babe? He rushed toward the boy, terrified that he didn't know what was wrong. He shook him, hoping he'd get a response. Gare? Come on, baby, please wake up for me. Thank God. Gary, are you with me, hon? He slowly sat the human up against the wall, who mumbles and nods in response. Avocado sighs, partly in relief, but also in concern. Gary, what's going on? The human broke eye contact nervously, hoping to send the message that said, I don't know what you're talking about, there's nothing wrong. Sweetheart, I just found you passed out in the hallway. You scared the absolute shit out of me. I don't think you're fine. You know you can tell me anything, right? Gary was silent. Avocado gently took the human's hand. Gary, look at you. You're trembling like crazy. You also look a bit pale. I know there's something wrong. Are you sick? Avocado decided he would get the boy to his room. He picked him up rattle-style and started down the rest of the hall, thinking to himself, has he always been this light? Avocado entered the room and sat on the bed, letting Gary rest his head on his lap. He was trying to think of anything that might have caused whatever this was. Babe, I know you don't want to talk about it, but I'm worried sick about you. Can you please tell me? Was it something I did? Gary shook his head. That at least made Avocado feel a bit better. But he still didn't know what made this happen. Well, I'm glad I'm not the reason, but I still need to know, hon. Gary sighed quietly, shutting his eyes, hoping that he would just let this go. It was then that Avocado had a thought. Babe? Gary looked up at him again. I haven't seen you around mealtimes. When was the last time you ate? Gary looked away. This made Avocado worry even more. 3 days ago. 3 days? Oh my god, no wonder you're like this! Gary curled up a bit in guilt. Avocado sighs in frustration before stroking the human's hair. Sweetheart, why would you do this to yourself? Those guys where we stopped at the other day said us humans were stupid, fat wastes of life, and he was cut off by the Ventraxian shushing him. Babe, listen to me. Those guys are assholes, and they were just raised to hating humans. That does not mean that what they said about you is true. I think you're perfect. Finally, Gary smiles. Avocado brings the human up for a comforting hug, which even then he feels the human's trembling. Okay, babe, you wait here, and I'll get you some breakfast, alright? Gary nods as Avocado stands up and sets him onto his bed. Love you, hon. You too. Avocado left the room, leaving Gary to himself, himself and Mooncake, who nudges his friend, still concerned. Don't worry, little buddy, I'll be fine. Mooncake smiles a bit as he nestles into Gary's side.